Um, we've all heard the expression uh, to not take ourselves too seriously. And that has a whole range of meanings. And I've heard that same idea expressed a little differently in a way, trying to be humorous. And, someone, I can't remember who it was in a Dharma talk, said, you are not your fault. You are not your fault. And I thought I thought it was pretty funny. And also quite poignant on a number of levels. It certainly pointed to the idea of how the compassionate side, how we can be so hard on ourselves and judge ourselves so hardly, actually be sometimes our worst critics, and really lose the sense of empathy for ourselves, kindness for ourselves. So this idea of not your fault was bringing that in, but also bringing in the piece of having, we fall into mistaken view, and we take things so personally. And it is personal because when these things happen to us, in that sense, yes, it's personal. But we often talk about one of the main, you'll hear over and over in Dharma talks, because it's so foundational in Dharma teachings, this idea of the impersonal aspect to things. And so both are true. It's all personal, but the nature of the person, of the individual, has an impersonal aspect to it. And one of the traditional ways it's talked about is saying that things just happen due to causes and conditions. And so I want to explore that piece of it. What we mean when we say things happen to causes and conditions, there's a lot of levels to causes and conditions. Some of the conditioning factors is our own doing, but there's a lot of external factors coming into play also. And so who knows how we get these conditioned patterns? Sometimes we do know, but it can be very challenging. And when these patterns are strongly established, deeply established in us, it can be tough. I was having a conversation with someone today about conditioned patterns, and how it can be challenging when even we can have awareness of what's happening. And this is very important to take a look at. We know what's happening sometimes. Of course, oftentimes we're caught up in things, of course, but when we know what's happening, we're aware, and it still gets us, because the whatever it is about the hook of it, about the power of it, that's the power of the conditioned process. When I was sharing with someone today, I hadn't thought of this for many years, but my mother, she died 5 or 6 years ago. And so I have two younger brothers. So the three of us used to, our mother, we basically had a good family, but, my mother could be challenging and difficult in a lot of ways, and could kind of drive you crazy. I had kind of a stereotypical Jewish mother, if that means anything to any of you. And I remember going home to visit my brothers, and they loved to tease me. And they would say, this is after I'd been a meditation teacher for years, and they would say, "Oh, here he is, the great Dharma teacher has come home." And one of them look at the other and says, how long do you give him before he gets reactive with mom, the great Dharma teacher? They're laughing at me. One of them says, I give him a day. My other brother says, no, he's been meditating a while. I give him 2 days. And, sure enough, a day or two goes by, and I remember at some point just going, damn it, mom. It wasn't worse than that, but, I did kind of get reactive. And so these things these patterns that have built for years and years and years can come. So this is kind of the impersonal part. Yes, it was me that got reacted with my mother. And so you don't want to say it's not your fault, in the sense that we don't own in the what we call a wholesome or skillful way to take ownership of it and have an identity with it, because you want to kind of learn and see, well, what are the places that tend to trigger me off? How do I act that tends to trigger other people off? And so we want to pay attention and own responsibility, so we can take some actions to kind of untangle those knots within us. So over time, those patterns tend to get looser and maybe even evaporate completely. That can happen. It's for some things sometimes, but we also want to recognize that some of these patterns run deep and they go back a long way. They go back over a lifetime. And if you believe the traditional Buddhist teachings of multiple lifetimes, you don't have to believe those, but if you do, then it's taught that these patterns can go back over lifetimes. So we have to hold these with some kind of perspective. And so I want to focus mainly on this idea that if we can bring these two aspects together, kindness for ourselves, but also not clinging to it or not identifying with it in a way that's unskillful. And again, I won't keep repeating it because I wanted to make the point that yes, there's the part where we do have to identify with it and take it personally, as I was just saying. But oftentimes we take that too far. And this was this idea, I think, that the person was trying to get to in the "you're not your fault," in addition to trying to be funny. I did think it was pretty funny. So I was thinking back to um, today. I had a conversation with someone who wanted to bring up something. It wasn't a big deal, but something with the Sangha that they just wanted to let me know was something that didn't work the best for that person, and just wanted to let me know. And it was just, anytime you have a group and things, there can be things like that where there's something that's, whatever you do, it's not going to work well for everyone. And so they were letting me know. And I noticed, it turned out it was fine. And it wasn't about me personally, but actually that would have been okay. Because what I was noticing is I've had plenty of times in my life, I can't think of specifics, but I definitely know the feeling of when, I don't know if it's happened a lot, but people have, how is it if someone comes to you and they want to give you some, we'll call it constructive criticism, negative feedback, something about you, or someone's coming, it's about me. I've had times in my life where maybe that was going to happen, and I could feel myself kind of tensing inside or steeling myself, kind of ready to receive this thing. And that's common if that's ever happened to you. I think probably all of us can, many of us at least, can relate to that. And that's one way to hold things. What is it, if that happens, what is it that's causing us to feel like we need to get protective to receive something that may be uncomfortable coming in? Well, it's because we do take it real personal. This is about me, and it goes to my core. And maybe somebody's going to tell me there's something wrong about me, the way I'm acting. I'm not lovable. I'm not acting in a way that's appropriate, whatever it is. But what I noticed today was when the person just said, I want to give some feedback about something, I didn't know what it was going to be, that I didn't feel reactive at all. And I'm not claiming to be immune, that nothing can ever touch me or bother me, but it was really nice that I was just kind of open and curious. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I wanted to hear what the person had to say. I felt very present. And that's really different than a way I've experienced that sort of thing in the past. Like, as I said, it didn't happen to be about me personally, but I didn't know. And just to stay open and curious is a whole different relationship, because then rather than being in a protective mode and I've got to sort of strategize and have my my defenses or whatever it's going to be, if I can be open and present, and maybe if the feedback comes in, maybe it is something I did and maybe I didn't realize it, or maybe I did know what I was doing. Sometimes that can happen too. When we were aware, acted unskillfully, that can happen. We need to be able to deal with that. But sometimes we're just, going about our business. We don't mean anything. And there's something that we said or did, or just the way we are, or whatever it is, and someone wants to let us know about that. It's a real different feeling if we can just be, oh, let me be present. I don't know how you would say it, but certainly just the attitude is, well, what does this person have to say? Let me hear this. Let me consider, is that true or not? And even if it's challenging, I might be able to say, I think that is true, or let me think about that. And then if we've acted in a way that's been difficult, just to own it. We don't have to get all reactive about it, and be able to say, it is true or not. Maybe it's not true, but to be open. We can hold everything, then we don't add a layer, we don't pile on to ourselves. We don't add a layer of suffering, of judgment. This is the not your fault part, where it's my fault, there's something wrong with me. That's a kind of identity that a way of taking it personal that's not going to serve us so well. And we can each look and see for ourselves to this extent that's true. I'm remembering a story that I've used in talks before, so some of you may have heard this. Back, I used to work for many years, I was an engineer in Silicon Valley, worked for some of the big computer chip, semiconductor companies. And once, I'm in the office environment there, and something had happened that somebody came at me, they physically did come into my space, but they were really, really angry because they thought it turned out it wasn't me at all, but they thought I had said or done something. I don't even remember what the incident was at all. All I remember was the energy of someone really pissed off coming at me and kind of letting me have it, verbally letting me have it. And again, it's not like I could, I'm not claiming that I would never get reactive, but I remember very clearly, for whatever reason, maybe it's just the good graces of God, but I just didn't fall into reactivity. And it's exactly what I'm talking about now. I've remembered this for a long time because it served me so well. I just was present, and the person's going off, and I knew it wasn't me. And I just said, wow, something like, I don't remember the details, but the feeling of it was, wow, I see you're really angry. Here, come on, let's go in a conference room. Let's sit down. Tell me what's going on. I want to hear about it. And we went in, and the person said, and just by my being present, first of all, because it could have easily, a person, if something happens to you or to me, right? We could imagine coming back and being very reactive back, right? I didn't do that, and why are you yelling at me? And you're a jerk, or whatever. That could happen. And I don't think anyone would necessarily blame us if we did that. It's certainly, you could say it's understandable. So would be part of our reactive pattern. But certainly it doesn't, it just escalates things. And so it was a whole different thing to just be able to be present, receive it. It's not pleasant. There's a lot of things like that aren't pleasant, but we can be with them. And I just have a vague memory of, I remember saying, well, I didn't do that's not me. You got me mixed up or whatever. And he was like, oh man, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And he felt bad. And then I was able to just also be present and just say, it's okay. We made mistakes. You got mad. It's okay. And it was a whole different experience. And I was able to contribute to a space that didn't start falling into blaming on that person, so they don't beat themselves up. And everything was like a happy ending for all of us. So it can be that way when we don't take it personally and we just see what's happening, right? Someone is coming, someone is angry, someone is saying something. Oh, these feelings are coming up in me. You can just know that. And this is where our mindfulness, but also our stability of mind, a stable mind that can help us not be so reactive, can come. But the same thing can happen not just for things that happen to us or come to us externally, but what about things can arise just within us, maybe due to external circumstances. But I don't know about you, but I have found in my life that it's been easy to find all the things wrong with me. It's not hard. I've got plenty of faults and plenty of places. We all do. We're human beings. But I'm just saying, and especially in my younger days when I struggled with issues around self-esteem and despair and depression and my own sort of psychological things I was going through in my younger years. It was really easy to fixate on, and it kind of magnified in a way everything that was not okay about myself. Maybe it was lack of clarity or purpose. I didn't know my place in the world or who I was and where I was going. Lots of different, so many things I can say. And that's an uncomfortable place to be. I'm not diminishing that in any way. But how we hold those is, where I would get into trouble is I would forget to stay connected with the goodness of my heart. Uh, I've acted, I've acted in not so good ways plenty of times in my life. So the way I've acted hasn't always been so noble or pure, let's put it that way. But I think I've never not had a sincere heart that meant well when I wasn't caught in reactivity, when I would wake up of the trance of these forces working on me. What would happen is I wouldn't see the whole picture. I could see everything that was wrong, but I didn't know how to hold it with we would say with wisdom or with discernment, because it lost touch with so many parts that were good and right, like a good heart and a good intention. Um, it is possible. This may sound a little funny, but it is possible to even when we're in the middle of difficulty, full blown, feeling the whole thing. If we can know what's happening, then we can still hold ourselves with some kindness. It doesn't let you off the hook if you're causing suffering in your behavior. You need to stop, right? As soon as you can, try to clean up the mess, of course. But I think bringing these two pieces together has just been somehow, I think they work together. The holding ourselves with kindness, I have found for myself, helps to not take myself so seriously in the unhelpful way. In other words, identifying with and clinging to, fixating on sort of a negative sense of myself. But also not taking myself so, it works the other way too, not taking myself so seriously, or loosening the identification with things and seeing that they're arising and passing away due to their own causes and conditions, can then help me hold myself a little kinder. So both ways can be a doorway in, and sometimes you'll find one or the other, right? Where the kindness helps you loosen the grip or the holding or the clinging, or sometimes the letting go of the clinging allows you to have a clearer view and vision of yourself, which then can allow us to hold ourselves with a more accurate view, which is a person deserving of, worthy of love. And that's a fundamental truth, I think. This place of love, I'm going to end in a few moments. I'm not going to, that could be a whole nother area of discussion, but there's something, I'm not claiming to be able to say what the ultimate reality of existence is, the ultimate truth is. I think anybody who says that, we have to be careful of falling into hubris, but I think I can say very confidently from experience, as many of you will be able to, that there's something deep and profound and essential in our whole existence, just as living beings, of the quality of love. There's something very deep, and when we touch those places, we really get to see that it's almost like a different whole level of reality is just the field of love. And so we can start to tap into that more and more. And the more we do that, the more we let go of clinging and kind of let go of identification in a way that doesn't serve us. And the way then we're able to be in a way that can also help other people feel safer and open up and start to connect to that feeling of love ourselves. And so we kind of support ourselves moving in that way. So thank you for your kind attention. I'm going to turn off the recording now.